Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to start with saying it's an absolute pleasure to be here today and, sort of moderate this insightful session that we're going to have on AI for talent acquisition and the future of hiring. So before we begin, I just want to say a big thank you to World HRD Congress, Dr. Bhatia and his incredible team who's put this, amazing event behind, bringing us all together for everything, to be discussed on the landscape of AI. So thank you so much to all the sponsors and the organizing team here that's present at World HRD Conference. On the other side, I'd like to just sort of give you a bit of my introduction. For those who may not know me, I'm Dr. Rajashri Vichare, an executive, thought leader, board member, and principal consultant with Talent Valley Global. I hail from Dubai. I come with a background of human resources across MENA region into organization development, change management, talent acquisition, and everything to do with AI and transition and transformation on human resources. So, just before we sort of begin, let's also get to know all our esteemed panelists that's present here. I'd like to invite and, ask for each one of you all to introduce yourself and give a bit of your background before we kick this session off.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kunal Wadhwani. I am the CHRO for Choithrams Group. It's a multinational conglomerate with, around our presence in 18 countries, over 14,000 people working for us globally. Overall, I have 25 years of experience, out of which I have around a little over 14 years experience working in Choithrams itself. I have grown to become a CHRO, understanding the very base of business. Today, where I stand, it's more of the commercial angle that I look at, working in the HR fraternity and try and see how we could support businesses. AI is an interesting time frame today. I was born in a time where there were no computers, no mobile phones, and it's been an interesting journey and evolution that I have seen of where we have reached right now. So I look forward to this discussion and try and gain some more insights from the fellow panel members to see how AI will, foreseeably try and evolve talent acquisition in future.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Noel Racho. I'm currently the HR Director of Miriam College, that's in Manila, Philippines. I've been in the academy for the last 37 years, and I would always say at the core of my being, I'm a teacher, and my basic discipline is really in organizational development, and I've been involved in many change initiatives both in and outside the academe. And incidentally, I'm also the current data protection officer of the same school. And so navigating the whole artificial intelligence program makes it more interesting for me because I'm able to combine HR perspective and at the same time the threat of data privacy and security. Thank you.
Good afternoon, all. In the previous session, Mr. Nitin mentioned about jewelry buying. So my name is Vijay Shah Nair. I'm head of HR of a jewelry brand called Malabar Gold and Diamonds. We are right now present in 13 countries with a workforce of 24,672 as on date, out of which 21,500 are based in India. So I thanks for this opportunity. I will be trying to get more of a practical because I see many students sitting there, Gen Z. So they would have definitely asked AI about the AI. So I will touch more about the practical aspect than the theoretical aspect.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Preeti Ahuja. I'm the Global CHRO at Intellicap and Avishkar Capital. Intellicap is a management consulting and investment banking team, and Avishkar Capital is a venture capital firm. Both these companies fall within the broader umbrella of Avishkar Group. The entire group is geared towards impact and development space, and we work in the space of financial inclusion, climate change, gender, natural resource management, etc., and many more other ecosystems. I was a global HR director prior to this with a couple of global consulting firms, namely Parthenon EY and Cedar Management Consulting. I'm very glad to be here and talking to you today.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone, and really happy to be here. Thank you, World HRD Congress, for this invitation. happy to be part of my esteemed panelists here and really looking forward. So I'm Divya Sonali Menz from Avnet India Private Limited, working as Director Human Resources. Interestingly, I have reached to this position as I have worked into business and also in HR, all the functions of sub-functions of HR, and that's where I am here today. I'm going to speak more from practical aspect, as one of my panelists also shared, more from inquisitive mind, that how and why AI is going to be used for HR and recruitment processes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vikrant Yadav. I'm a part of Adidas. We're a global organization which is primarily known for making sports apparels, shoes, and other stuff. I've been into the TA space for about 2 decades now, or shade under 2 decades. And yeah, thank you so much, World HRD Congress, for this invitation. I look forward to a fruitful discussion with the other panel members.
Thank you for this wonderful introduction. I'm really privileged to be with such esteemed panelists here today. Let's kick off this things for the first question. The first question that I have for this panelist is that while AI can streamline many parts of the hiring processes, how do we ensure that the human touch isn't lost while you're dealing with candidates and the relationships building while you're doing hiring? Please.
I wish to navigate the whole issue of automation and personalization. And I think it's no-brainer that when we use AI tools, it increases efficiency in terms of hiring. It can reduce biases in hiring. And I think where you see AI basically as data system, then you also get to have data-driven insights. Effectively, AI tools can streamline the administrative aspect of doing hiring. For instance, in our school, it has reduced significantly by 30%. Okay, wow. And what it does is it gives more time for HR recruiters to spend more time with candidates for a more meaningful connection. And that's, I think, when you talk about personalization, because at the end, in the whole process of talent acquisition, the HR recruiter remains central in the process. And so that's how you make sure that there's still that human touch. To a certain degree, you identify which phases of talent acquisition will remain human. So for
Absolutely.
instance, when you do interviews, and when you nuance a cultural fit between candidates and of the institution, I think that's where the human recruiter comes in. So that's how I see the movement from automation to personalization. Thank you.
Superb. Yes, Ms. Priya, you want to add?
Preeti.
Sorry.
Well, thanks for that. Okay, so one of the challenges that we all know about AI, artificial intelligence, is that lack of emotional quotient and emotional intelligence. I think the previous panel also spoke about it a little bit. But I do believe that if you're able to combine human intelligence with artificial intelligence, I think we can create wonders out of it. However, empathy cannot be replaced by artificial intelligence, so we will have to have a hybrid mode of hiring, so not losing the human touch like you asked. And for that, we have to ensure that there is human interaction at every phase, despite the fact that we'll have AI doing a lot of the other operational stuff. So like personalization, like you mentioned, Dr. Noel, personalization for candidates, our AI can do screening and CV reviews and CV shortlisting, etc. However, there has to be a personal touch by a recruiter to ensure that they're speaking to the candidates and welcoming them to the process and introducing them to the process, right? You need to ensure that there is candidate experience as well that's taken care of, whether there is interviews that is being scheduled by artificial intelligence, giving updates, etc. However, If there are questions by the candidate, if there is some sort of feedback, you want to understand the cultural aspect of the candidate, you want to understand their aspirations, motivations, their expectations from the job role, you will have to have human touch. So I think my recommendation would be to be in the hybrid mode where you sort of use artificial intelligence as well as human intelligence.
Very well said, Ms. Preeti. I think Mr. Vajesh wants to add something.
Yeah, so I just want to quote a statement. Humans hold the key to shaping AI's future responsibility. This was quoted by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi during the AI Summit. So, being a HR professional, I really wanted to emphasize on the human touch. We talked about the recruitment process. You all are aware that recruitment starts with sourcing, screening the candidate, selection process, onboarding. So, depending upon the industry where you're working. For example, talking to my industry, out of the 21,600 workforce, almost 70% workforce is in the retail segment. So when I say retail, it's luxury retail. We more believe in the customer service. So when customer service is coming, our AI tool may not be relevant for the retail. For the corporate functions, it is. Adding on how this AI can be customized for the recruiter is, as she rightly mentioned, all the screening process can be through AI tool, but at the time of selection process, it's better to directly meet the candidate, have your assessment in personal, and once interview is over, normally we don't reply to the candidates if they are not shortlisted, and we put some algorithm to reply to the candidates. But it will be fair enough to call that candidate and inform in personal that, okay, this time we were not able to take you forward, but there is always an opportunity here. That definitely brings your personal touch, and that bonding will always remain between the candidate and the employee.
Thank you. I think Mr. Kunal here also
Yeah.
wants to add something.
I
I'll
would
pass
like
it
to
on.
add, sorry.
Okay, go ahead, Divya. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I heard Sonali. My second name is Sonali, so I thought it was.
good. Go ahead.
Okay. So just to add to the screening part of my two panelists what they shared, for example, I would like to share. Say, for an example, an engineer who is from electronics background and he has this skill set of power microcontrollers and power electronics, embedded system also. And if we are looking at a specific skill in that, so that is where the AI would segregate that what exact skill is the recruiter looking at. Otherwise, today we spend a lot of time in terms of having the niche profiles and specific skills that we are looking at. So that is where it would speed up the process of screening at the initial stage. And with specific screening is what we would get as the result. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Sonali. All right.
Thank you. So also kind of just picking a point from Preeti's point of view that it's generally looked upon from a state that, whenever there is a candidate who signs up, on a career site, the first thing what organizations are now trying to do is have the chatbot option. And they're trying to go ahead and get relevant details, which is more or less around what's your date of birth, your name, so on and so forth. But when you get into the screening part of it, again, when you're doing the shortlisting part of it, there is a keyword match which basically happens. And the keywords are picked up by the AI tool itself, which basically is embedded into the ATS. Now, the personalization aspect then comes into is that you're able to go ahead and have a conversation and understand that what keywords have been selected by the AI tool, which has actually done the shortlisting. But it's more important that you're able to go ahead and do a deep dive into the career, the projects, what kind of stability the person has in terms of his outcomes and what has he done in his career aspects. And that is the reason that it is a joint effort, which is going to be a hybrid effort between both sides of it, which will actually add value. And that is how it is that you're able to create more impact, and you're able to go ahead and shortlist and stack rank better candidates from that point of view, is what I believe.
In my personal opinion, I think AI integration has already begun. Where human element comes into picture is initially, some time back from a talent acquisition perspective, people used to hire for certificates. Then people started looking at skills. Today, many organizations are looking at what motivation drives a candidate to join an organization. Is the candidate joining the organization because they just want a job in any organization, or whether they are really motivated because they understand the value proposition of the organization in today's time, right? So when it comes to identifying certifications and skills, AI can definitely come into picture. But today, the evolution has not reached a particular stage where AI understands the motivation of a candidate, why they want to join the organization. And to give you a classic example, all the HR fraternity members are sitting over here. If you are a talent acquisition professional, some point in time in your hiring career, it has occurred to you where whatever the certificates stated, you maybe wanted to hire a person who from a criteria perspective did not necessarily qualify for a particular role. And broadly speaking, when we speak about promotions in today's time, this is where the concept of X-1 or X-2 hiring comes into picture, where we inculcate faith in a particular candidate, whether it's an external candidate or an internal job posting candidate, where we feel that this candidate may belong and do a better job, irrespective of whatever AI says or whatever a personality assessment says. So I think motivation drives engagement within the organization, and if people are motivated enough to join you as an organization, or if there is an internal candidate which is motivated enough and showcases that zeal and enthusiasm to learn the deliverables that they can incorporate, maybe through a promotion or something like that, maybe AI is not equipped at this particular stage to understand that, and this is where the human intervention comes into picture.
Very well said. Thank you, Kunal. So everybody present here, before I shoot for the next question to our esteemed panelists, I'd like to say that we are going to keep this room a bit engaging. As we progress with questions to the panelists, I'll also be opening window and room, by the end of the session to at least 10 or 15 minutes for you all to ask questions. So that please be prepared with anything that comes to your mind, because right as when I'm questioning our panelists, I'm getting a lot of questions and I'm intrigued to understand what's coming ahead when it comes to AI transformation. Please give me an eye that we all follow what's happening here so that I know that we are all engaged here. Please give me an eye when I say, are we all together? Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for giving me this live presence. All right, let's move on. Speaking about chatbots, Kunal, Mr. Vijeen, what you just mentioned about, I want to understand one thing, from a perspective from candidate experience. AI is revolutionizing the candidate experience altogether. What you spoke about, chatbots, to personalize job recommendation, let's say. But how do we strike the right balance between the automation and also the personal touch in recruitment when it comes to chatbot experience? If you can, anybody can throw some insights on it.
So, I mean, the basic way of increasing or reducing the effort of a recruiter is through getting the normal details from a chatbot, right? So they'll do the basic objectives of getting the basic information and then passing it on to the recruiter. From that standpoint, how the system is now evolving is that, the integration happens with the ATS. The ATS is then able to go out and filter out applications, and then it all boils down to if the candidate is going to move forward or, maybe get rejected in the process. So candidate experience from that standpoint, during that process, there are a couple of elements that you can go out and counter on that. The first thing is that, how are recruiters able to go and profile the candidate in front of, the hiring manager? Basis, the fitment check or XYZ reasons that come again. And then if it is not there, then how are you able to go and position the candidate in such a fashion that if the candidate is getting rejected, there is an automated response which is also getting sent out, and there's a personalized touch which goes through there. So I think it depends. I mean, the process is ever evolving, and that's at the moment what I'd say, because it's very subjective. It has a human touch to it, and it is more automated as well at the same time.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Yes, Ms. Sonali.
So I'll just share an example, very recent. So I was interviewing a 23 years experience person. And after 45 minutes, when we closed, I asked, do you have any questions to ask? Can you guess anyone what question I would have got from the interviewee? As an interviewer, I asked my interviewee any questions that you would like to ask. So the question that interviewee was interested was, what's the feedback in today's interview? So today when we are in information stage, our mind also works that I need immediate information, whatever I'm doing. And that's where AI is going to help as part of the recruitment process to give immediate response in terms of the openness, that how the process is going, at what stage it is, and how have I fared, whether yes, no at the interview at that point. If not in terms of the final result, but at least some feedback. And that's where, if you'll see, the AI tools have the inbuilt system in it, which gives the openness in terms of the process, and also at that point, some basic results and input.
Yeah, I would probably open the conversation in a bigger context where we see how we would use AI tools, because when we look at candidate experience, I guess it's hinged on the organization's philosophy or value proposition on how they want their candidates to connect with them. It's looking at the journey that a candidate has to go through in talent acquisition. Only when that's articulated, we see the real value of AI tools. If a company wants a seamless and yet engaged candidate journey, then we customize how AI tools can be used. If we want the candidate to be fully engaged, then we use AI to continuously respond real time to the questions, to the inquiries of the candidate. But there's a deeper context of the whole use of AI tools in the candidate's engagement. I totally agree that perhaps there is an evolving mindset or use of AI as we look at the total experience of candidates, and for that matter, even employees, the way we see the domains of AI tools and the domains that would require human touch. And I think we will continue to navigate that one, but certainly we see how chatbots are able to help HR professionals in keeping the candidates engaged. But we also know the limitations of that, because at the end of the day, you talk about human touch and defining when it's necessary and when it's needed. Thank you.
Just want to touch upon, as an employer, we believe in equal employment, and we do have a policy of DIA in place. But however, some positions, it's gender specific. For example, in a retail showroom, in back-end operations, we have an accountant position, which is purely, we prefer male candidates only because retail industry tends to close late in the evening. So this accountant plays an important role in tallying, closing, and everything. So just want to give an example. During the screening process, from the audience, is anyone by the name Tinu, T-I-N-U? Okay, I'm just taking an example. At the time of screening process, we put all the keywords required for an accountant. So, the skill set, education, experience, everything. But we have not put the keywords for a gender specifically. So when this profile got shortlisted after all the AI screening, Tinu Thomas, AI taught, is a male candidate. But Tinu is a name which is there in male also, female also. So when we analyzed, the CV was not talking about a gender. The candidate has not specifically mentioned word called gender, male or female, neither he, she, anywhere. So this, AI tool assumed that the candidate is a male candidate. So that's fair. And specifically when you run an AI tool, we are operational in USA also. In countries like USA, you're not supposed to ask your gender also. So depending upon the continent, countries, you have to be very specific with your AI tool.
Very well said. Thank you for sharing a real life example, Mr.
Rajshri,
Rajesh.
I just wanted to
Yes,
add
Priya.
a little bit here on a lighter note, since we are all talking about chatbots. Just imagine a world where artificial intelligence becomes so inclusive and affordable that even candidates can afford an artificial intelligence or a chatbot. And finally, you sort of end up realizing that actually it's a chatbot interviewing a chatbot, and you don't know how to hire eventually, right?
True. So true. Very possible, by the way. All right. We've had interesting chat, and while we were just discussing, one question sort of had an enlightening effect on me. And I want to put this forward to our esteemed panelists. This is not something that has been there on the books, but I really want to know, do you foresee AI replacing any of the HR world jobs?
I probably would put it this way. It's really more philosophical why human intelligence had to create artificial intelligence, and I'm pretty sure we didn't create something that would eventually replace us. But we blame the context by which AI has been put forward in many conversations, and so people think that AI is here to replace some HR role. I think the very context of how we should appreciate AI is that it will augment and it will help HR professionals. The whole idea of, and this is, by the way, the reason why there is also resistance from HR professionals to integrate AI because of that threat of being replaced. And I think that has to change because by and large, when you look at the value, the real value, and I would even say it does not just add value, but AI can create value to the work of HR professionals. And as I have said, perhaps that part where we spend a lot of time doing the clerical, technical, and administrative can now be spent on really making meaningful connections with our employees. And I think that's the core of what it means to be HR. Okay, and that's my point. I think our conversation should also shift in terms of looking at how AI threatens the work that we do. I think in a sense, when we embrace AI, it means we are embracing more time for our work, to have more meaningful connections with our employees. So I'm sure it's not going to replace any of the role in HR. Well, that's my bias.
I'll share one perspective, Rashri. It's just yesterday I was having a very good chat about how society operates. Society primarily operates in two ways. One is merit-based and second is power-based. Classic example, Mumbai versus Delhi, for that matter, or India versus US, for that matter, right? I think when AI comes into picture, it practically takes away a lot of merit-based activities from the HR shop floor perspective. And some people spoke about a chatbot for giving basic information to the candidates, scheduling interviews and all those things. These are all very merit-based activities, but the power struggle does not end irrespective. So I foresee it as a challenge also, because if all the merit-based activities go out into AI, rest of the power-hungry activities remain in the organization. It clogs people's mindsets then in that particular case, in a way. However, there are advantages of it. I don't personally see it taking away HR jobs altogether. It basically evolves the activities of how you want to do things. The problem that I see is, once upon a time in India, somebody came and started a salsa class, and salsa class became an in thing. Then came Zumba, and Zumba became an in thing. Today, frankly speaking, the way people talk about AI and HR, it's the in thing over here. Many people don't really know what to do with it. Many people don't have any kind of process associated to it. So I think the first aspect is to develop a process, understand what AI does in today's time for HR fraternity, for the HR processes. a process flow is created and you exactly know basis the commercial angle of your organization looking at your P&L, which part of the process can actually get into an AI interface and remaining ones need to be managed internally by people then in that case. And that is how the evolution will begin. If we don't do these initial things, okay, we'll just keep talking about, AI as if we are going to a salsa class.
I'll just further add on to Kunal's. So I stay in Bangalore, though I am from northern India, but settled in Bangalore. So today we talk about traffic of Bangalore, right? Which is the traffic. But yes, with my friends and with my colleagues who are here in Mumbai, we always say Mumbai traffic is worse than Bangalore traffic and Bangalore traffic is worse than Mumbai. So as Kunal said, that which city is better, whether Mumbai or Delhi. So we would talk about when we use AI, we get exact details in terms of the data. Way back in 2017, there was a KPMG report which spoke about digitalization, digital HR in 2025, and that's how there was a graph. And in those days, Tableau was the thing, and people were using Tableau in recruitment and hiring. And then it moved on, advanced. We moved on to AI. Today we also speak of generative AI. So coming back to whether it is going to take away some of the roles, I do believe that yes, there would be some which is mundane roles, definitely. Initially when I started my career and when we used to collect information of the candidate, the initial, which is definitely going to be replaced by AI, but something more which is going to, the human resources department is going to be, it is going to change, it is going to evolve. There would be HR analytics team and AI would give us the data and the representation of the data available which is there, but how to read that and how to use that. And that is where the need of the hour is. And all the students who are here, it's bug up that you need to upscale yourself, get into it, and hire. The more knowledge you have, the more experience you have in HR analytics, usage of AI and generative AI, and that's where you are. There you are. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you, Mr. Nali. Anybody else would like to take this up? Yeah, go ahead.
In fact, I agree with her. Yes, some roles will definitely be taken by AI. This is an HR forum, but just want to ask, anyone from the IT background? Okay, so there was a recent research report, if not mistaken, by Harvard. What it is telling is maybe down to 7 to 10 years, how the human resource department is functioning right now. Tomorrow, IT department may function as resource to run the AI. So we need to upskill ourselves. With again an example which I would like to tell. In our platform, when our person joins the company, we ensure that their job description, KRA, KPI is set on the day one itself. So this activity is done by one of my HR team members who drafted the job descriptions, defined the KRA, KPI. But the way we are automating with the AI tool, with the position, maybe you are looking for a sales manager. Moment you put a sales manager, there are around 280 unique roles in the system where already JD has been defined, and there are 1,000 plus other JDs. The moment you put sales manager, within a minute, the entire job description is ready. So, fear is when we practically implement it, the resource which is good in drafting the job description, defining the KRA, KPI, because of the system, that role may not exist. Similarly, there are multiple roles because of AI which may take it up. So I suggest it's all better for all of us to upskill yourself to be future ready.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just wanted to add a line. If the proposition is that at some point certain roles may be replaced by AI, then the focus will not just be upskilling and reskilling, and as was already mentioned, perhaps start looking at cross-skilling as well. That's expanding the space where employees can really move within the organization, not just confining themselves with HR. Thank you.
So true, so true. Thank you so much, Dr.
Just
Noel.
one thing. If I, as an interviewer, if I would look at HR, I'm going to campus and or the young HR professionals, if I want to hire in my team, I would never look for whether you have done recruitment or whether you have done compensation or L&D. I would look for whether you have analytical skills and what experience do you have, how you have, what extra that you have done in terms of certification or any experience you have. So that's the skill set that would be required.
Sure, thank you. All right, another question that comes to my mind is it's going to be a little interesting and also challenging. Let's assume we have an AI tool that has sort of shortlisted about top 3 candidates for a certain role for the hiring team, all right? And obviously, AI is going to screen the profiles based on everything that you write down on your resumes, right? And you have these top 3 candidates shortlisted, you start interviewing them in person, and you realize nothing or let's say maximum of the things that have been screened the candidate for are not really the personality traits when you meet the individual in person. What do you do then? That's something that comes to my mind and I want to understand because I may also think that, somebody who's been a recruiter who understands the company's culture better, understands the ecosystem, understands the value system or the management itself or the taste of the hiring managers vis-a-vis to an AI tool who's prompted to screen the profiles based on certain search engine optimized words. How do you then sort of gauge a candidate's talent pool on merit, number one? And number two, what if you've actually missed the right candidates, who could have been screened by or shortlisted by your team, knowing the culture, the ecosystem better for your brand or for your group? Anyone?
It's a great question. The ask is, again, from a screening standpoint, you will have resumes which will get picked up basis the keywords, right? And when you go ahead and speak to the candidates will go ahead and share their experience, details, projects, so on and so forth. But there is a study which basically Seek Out did, and Seek Out is an AI tool which basically helps in identifying candidates. And they said the match of a conversion is only 31%. And that is very staggering because you're doing the keyword search, you're aligning the person in terms of what the role and the job profile says and what the job description says, but the conversion is 31%. The fact is very simple. The recruiter will have to go ahead and get in touch with other candidates, looking at the entire talent pool and then identifying which is the best suited candidate basis, the culture, fitment, and how are they stacked in terms of their alignments in terms of the organization. Point is that you will not have 100% match at all, is what they at times say. But there is a high possibility that you will have an 85 to a 90% match at times, but you won't be able to find that unicorn in the market that you have to at the end of the day. Now, the two questions which arise is that the first thing is that how will you be able to go ahead and have that subjectivity built in with going ahead and doing, maybe using a HireVue search, which is basically another tool which can be identified from an AI perspective. It will give you analytics, it will give you predictive analytics as well, that the candidate is going ahead and, answering the right questions, is not going ahead and, taking use or help from another tool or maybe, framing up answers. That is one question. And the second question is that how will you be able to go ahead and create that value add for that person to go ahead and also see that what is there for them to explore in the organization as well. So these two aspects is what comes out from the studies from Seek Out is what I believe, which can help. So yeah.
That's an interesting insight, Vikrant. Adding to that particular thing, and to answer your question first, if I find that, let's say if I'm hiring a senior leader in the organization, AI gives me 3 CVs, and when I interview those people, if the personality does not match, I'll not select them. That's a simple answer. But I think this is an input problem as well, and goes back to my previous point where I said that if we don't understand where AI comes into the process flow, these things will occur. when you have an assessment of what you want to do and where you want to use AI in your structure, you need to try and see how you can inculcate the cultural proposition of your organization into that AI. I was assessing a tool some time back for my organization. It was associated to supporting the recruitment process. And it had a beautiful feature where if you are looking for certain competencies, you just incorporate those competencies, upload the JD in that particular tool, and it comes up with those cultural based questions. So when the output comes, the AI interface is exactly telling you whether this person's or candidate's personality matches with the role that you're looking out or not. However, the pitfall was, which Vikrant just mentioned right now, is that profile stated an integrity score. And let's say the integrity score says 4.8 out of 10. Why? Because maybe 3 times the person opted out and went on to some another screen to find out maybe answers in Google. Now, how do I, as an assessor, now know whether to trust this feedback even from a cultural perspective or not? I don't know right now, right? And tomorrow, you know, when somebody knows that, oh, so it is only going to catch on my integrity score if I'm switching screens, I'm going to ask Vikrant to sit next to me with his computer open, and I'm going to ask him to, you know, find this answer for me. So again, I mean, but the beauty is that the cultural integration exists within AI in today's time. So it's all about timing the system in a particular way where you can try and, you know, eradicate or eliminate those lapses in the initial stages. But primarily, it goes back to one point that I have already mentioned. Understand the structure, understand where to use it, and the input needs to be appropriate. If the input goes wrong, this is where, you know, the system does not understand what to give you, and whatever the system understands and realizes, it will come to your table in a way.
I think I completely agree with what Kunal just mentioned in terms of input, right? So it's pretty similar to how we use ChatGPT. So as appropriate as your prompts are, as appropriate will the answers be. It's very similar to that. So if you are, you know, very accurate and appropriate in terms of what you're really looking forward to in the candidates that you want to hire, even from the soft skills perspective, even from the cultural perspective, what kind of aspirations they bring, what kind of motivations they bring, your input has to be pretty accurate to that so that you can sort of shortlist, your system can shortlist appropriate CVs. And also, let's not forget, it's not just about screening CVs, I guess. It's also about a combination of factors in AI, which will also include assessments and screening. And a combination of that might give you a more appropriate CV.
Perfect. Very well said. Sorry, we're just running out of time. Thank you so much, everyone. As I promised, I'd like to open the session to our amazing audiences here for just about taking one question if possible. Oh, nice. Like literally you have 3-4 hands. Okay. Do we have anybody on the floor or shall I just step out?
My name is Advait Kurlekar. I'm a management consultant. I took a session yesterday on AI in HR. So my question to any of the panelists is, as corporates start preparing and using AI in HR, as a candidate, what should I be prepared for?
So I'll just add to the
Sure.
question. Let me start. I would, if I am a candidate and I know this is the AI world we are into, so if we look into traditional way, and even today, some of the candidates when I come across, they would have not searched about the organization to that extent. So as a candidate, it is very important that have I done due diligence even to the culture, going back to Kunal's input on the culture part just he gave shared. So even to that extent that what exactly the organization would look at. And culture fitment, that would be very important part too. So that's my take on this, to be prepared as a candidate.
Sir, as a management consultant, I'm sure you've asked this question on behalf of the students who are sitting there. So yes, many of the companies have started with the ATS, application tracking software or AI tools. So what the key element is, your CV should have all the keywords, competencies which is required for the role. Because initially screening itself, maybe around 80% of your competencies, skill set, attributes are not matching your CV, chances of getting a rejection is high. Then coming the assessment part also, you should have your IQ, UQ all in place so as to answer that. For example, if if you get a time, just go to HSBC's website. They have a very interesting, 10-minute session on various aspects. They throw around 75, 80 questions to you. All those 75, 80 questions are repeating just to understand your reasoning part. So it's better to be prepared for that. Go have a random check about all the AI tools, then apply for an organization. I'm sure you will definitely reach at least the final interview.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Guys, we all need to respect time, and I would just like to say thank you all our esteemed panelists here. Thank you, World HRD Congress. Once again, thank you, Wing Commander, sir. I hope and trust it was insightful, as the day is fully packed with further more insights, and we also will see you tomorrow. Thank you once again. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Vichare, for keeping the time and making it short, crisp. And finally, what came across is that we can use AI as a tool to ease the burden on AI for recruiting, but it can't be used as a crutch to lean on completely and forget other things. And we also have to think of the future of work, which is going to come more and more hybrid kind of work, and people working from home, not wanting to come to offices. And in those cases, how you're going to maintain your touch, human touch, empathy, and all. These are the questions to ponder for future discussions. Thank you all. On behalf of World HRD Congress, I would like to present you a token of appreciation.